I'm Dave, founder of Halloween Year Round, and today I'm talking about Batman Forever. What's that, you say? Wasn't I just talking about Batman Begins on this channel yesterday? And is there a link to that video in the description? Yes, there is. That's right, that's because Batman Forever's 30th anniversary was literally the day after Batman Begins' 20th anniversary, which is kind of amazing, and it just makes me excited that I can talk about Batman even more. So, let's go back even further in time. When Batman Begins came out, I was in 10th grade. I was 16 years old. When Batman Forever came out, I was 6 years old. I had just finished kindergarten, and it was, and this is true, the first Batman movie I saw in the movie theater. When Batman 89 came out, I was like literally a newborn infant, like not even a month old. So obviously, I didn't see that in theaters, but I grew up watching it on VHS. Even Batman Returns, I was 3 when it came out. So I was too young for my parents to think to take me to the theater to see it. But again, by the time Forever comes out, I've been watching those first 2 Burton movies on VHS, and they knew I loved Batman. My grandmother had even made me a Batman cape that I never took off. So they're like, let's take him to see Batman Forever. And I was completely blown away. It was the greatest thing I had ever seen up to that point. I thought Jim Carrey's Riddler was hilarious. I thought the movie was like really deep, which 30 years later, it still kind of is. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Batman Forever, why I think it's underrated. I think its reputation should be better. It doesn't deserve kind of the hate that it gets, and why there's so much more to it. So, first and foremost, Batman Forever very often and very unfairly gets lumped together with Batman and Robin. When people look back at the Schumacher movies and they think, oh, that was terrible, it was all cheesy, it was all puns, it was cringe, it was laughably terrible, they're thinking of Batman and Robin, which, yes, did kind of fully commit to that in, cartoonish fashion, which Joel Schumacher himself admitted that he thought comic book movies are supposed to be campy. Batman Forever, though, it has that camp with the villains, with Tommy Lee Jones, Two-Face and Jim Carrey's Riddler.
That's what Tommy Lee Jones said to me, too. He said he couldn't sanction my buffoonery.
He couldn't?
He couldn't sanction my buffoonery.
What movie is this?
And that's when we did Batman together.
Wait, you're the star, though.
I was the star, yeah. That was the problem.
But it's also a really fascinating character study from a psychological perspective on Bruce Wayne that in a lot of ways, and I said this in my Batman Begins video, Batman Forever walked so that Batman Begins could run. And that before Batman Begins, Batman Forever seemed to be the only one that was actually interested in the psychology of Bruce Wayne. And which I'll talk about it more later, the Schumacher cut allegedly goes even further into that. I think Batman Forever kind of strikes that perfect balance where, yes, the villains are kind of campy and cheesy, but all the stuff with Bruce Wayne and especially Dick Grayson's, arc and revenge story feel more grounded, realistic, dark, and dare I say human. So I think it kind of strikes that balance perfectly in a way that I know the Burton movies were kind of too dark and Burton-y for some audiences. I know Batman and Robin was definitely too campy for, well, everyone except children, which when I saw it, I loved it. But, I was a kid. Batman Forever, I think, strikes that really good balance between the two of them. But more than just that, more than just being the fascinating, Bruce Wayne psychological study and striking that balance, there's a lot going for Batman Forever that upon rewatching it, I'm like, yeah, actually, there is a lot I like about this movie. Obviously, you have a great cast. Val Kilmer, I love as Batman, but I really love him as Bruce Wayne. Yes, Michael Keaton is still my preferred, from that original quadrilogy, but Kilmer plays Bruce Wayne like a tortured soul in a way that Keaton is weird and quirky and eccentric, and he's very much a Tim Burton protagonist. Kilmer, I see this conflict in him which is kind of the central theme of the whole movie. He's deciding, can he be Bruce Wayne and Batman? How can he reconcile the trauma of his past? He very clearly has PTSD. He's having flashbacks. And how can he reconcile that, not just with what he's doing as Batman, but with trying to live a fulfilling life as Bruce Wayne? And Val Kilmer, who may he rest in peace. I know he just passed away earlier this year. What a loss for the industry. He's perfect in this role, and I think he doesn't get enough credit as being not just a great Batman, but an amazing Bruce Wayne. Because a lot of people focus just on the Batman and they fail to realize Bruce Wayne is just as important a character to get it right.
You see, I'm both Bruce Wayne and Batman. Not because I have to be. Now, because I choose to be.
It also just has beautiful, gorgeous, practical sets and production design that's like bright, neon, colorful, which I know is painfully 90s, but I'll say this about Joel Schumacher. He knows production design. He knows how to make a visually creative looking movie, not in terms of necessarily cinematography, although he does kind of get a little crazy with Dutch angles, in an homage to the TV show, but he knows how to just create an interesting looking set. Look no further than something like Lost Boys, and I think Batman Forever again does that really, really well. I know, again, with Burton, there were criticism everything's too dark and Burton-y. Everything it's just as weird as Tim Burton's world, but it's just much more colorful and bright. And can we talk about the music? No, not just the Kiss from a Rose song by Seal, who for the longest time I thought that song was written specifically for Batman Forever. It was not. It existed before that, even though the music video features clips from the movie in it. But I'm talking the actual instrumental score, which everyone talks about the Danny Elfman one from the Burton movies. Everyone talks about the Hans Zimmer, James Newton Howard one from the Nolan movies. I think this score gets overlooked a lot. And while I probably can't play it here, if I do, it's only going to be for a few seconds. It's really, really underrated. And I found myself, after rewatching the movie, I'm driving in the car. I just wanted to listen to the score again. It has this really kind of cool, like almost adventurous vibe to it. Like it's not really dark and brooding, but it's inspiring. It gets you pumped and gets you motivated in a way that the other scores feel like they're dark and we're like in Batman's world. This one kind of is like it gets you ready, like let's go fight crime with Batman. But of course, no conversation about Batman Forever is complete without discussing the infamous or iconic Schumacher cut, which I'm told kind of delves deeper into that, psychological study of Batman, probably taking it even closer to a Batman Begins. I know it's, to my knowledge, I think it's only ever been screened like once by Kevin Smith at his Smodcastle Theater a few years back. I know that there was supposed to be another screening very recently, but Warner Brothers issued a cease and desist, which why not just release it on HBO Max? Like if it's not, I get if it's not finished, you don't want to release like an unfinished product. But at this point, how does it hurt the brand to release a 30-year-old movie or allow people to have screenings of it or I don't know, drop it online? I know it's all about rights and whatnot, and David Zaslav is the kind of guy who would write off movies like Batgirl for tax breaks. So I get why, he doesn't want the movie shown, but I think there'd be a real benefit to it, and it would make people appreciate the movie all that much more because it sounds like it went even further, I think, with the fascinating study. I mean, there's a giant bat in it, so I would love to one day see the Joel Schumacher cut. If you were one of the few people that saw it at the Kevin Smith screening, please let me know in the comments. What did you think of it? What did it include? Let me know what you think of Batman Forever. You know, do you prefer the Burton movies? Do you prefer I still do, but I just think Batman Forever doesn't get the hate it deserves. It often, like I said, it gets lumped in with Batman and Robin. That's the movie that's laughably terrible, not Batman Forever. But hey, these are just my thoughts. These are just my ramblings. This is just my channel. Let me know in the comments, what did you think of Batman Forever? Like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. If you don't, you may end up being turned down for an invention you made at work by your billionaire boss that you thought was going to work with you, and then end up killing your own boss and then becoming a supervillain. And as always, every day is Halloween.